Exception handling. Exception handling is basically our way of handling unexpected behavior or unexpected result of a problem. Let's say a user that did something that he shouldn't do, and that way we handle the error. Actually, an exception and an error is practically the same thing. So we handle their error without the program crashing. As you know, usually when there's an error in a program, it crashes. An exception is a way to handle this unexpected error. It can also happen because of unexpected behavior of the file system, etc., etc., database. Let's see what the Java documentation has to say about it. An exception is an event that occurs during the execution of a program that disrupts the normal flow of instruction. And this line, the Java programming language uses exceptions to handle errors and other exceptional events. Basically, the same thing that I said. Let's show you an example of a user doing a dumb thing, like entering 0 in a division, dividing by 0 basically. Let's create a scanner so we can capture user input from the console and call it input, and new scanner. If you remember, in the second or third lesson we covered the scanner. This is how we tell the scanner to capture the system input. We write system.in basically. And let's create an int called x and have it capture the user input with the method nextInt. And let's have another integer named y, and let's divide 2 by x. Let's say 10 divided by x. And now we are going to make this program crash. Oh wait, let's give the user, before we ask for input, let's ask him for the input. s.o, enter a number. And let's be more specific. That is not 0. And let's be smart and input 0 and see what happens. Crashed. Exception in thread main, divide by 0. Arithmetic exception. I haven't seen this error a lot. Anyway, so how can we prevent this thing? Using the try-catch syntax. Try, then opening curly brackets and closing curly brackets, and after that we'll use catch. And inside the catch we handle the exception. We first need to get the exception from the Java system. The exception is written with a large E at the start. Let's call it E. I can output the exception and it will be the same as this one. Thread main blah 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 error. But let's give the user our own message because this doesn't tell him everything exception trade blah blah blah. Don't enter 0. Okay, let's see what this does. 0, and we tell the user don't enter 0, and it exits the program because there's nothing after it. So how can we let the user try again? Let's give it a tab so to be. Now it looks better. You see now I can see where the curly brackets start and end just by going down the line. Okay, so the way we do that is with a while loop and a boolean. Let's create a boolean and call it done. The operation that we want, it will be marked true when the operation is done. At first it will be false. So we'll create a while loop and we'll say while done is not true. You see I used the not operator, the exclamation mark, and then I wrote done, which is it's false, so this argument will return true while this is false. While not done, while done is false, it's true, done is false. So let's put all of it, the curly brackets around our try catch expression. It's not exactly like an if. It's a way, as I said, to capture unwanted behavior, etc., etc. So how do we stop that loop? Simply here we'll make done true. So basically, if this doesn't crash when it gets here, it will continue to the next line and it will be true, and it will be the last time the loop runs. So basically we have a loop for our simple program that will run until we'll enter anything other than 0. Now it asks me to enter a number again. Let's enter 0. And let's enter another number, let's say 9. Done. The program is done. I can't enter 0 anymore. So we had something that causes an error, but we used try catch to avoid the program from crashing. And we also told the user what he shouldn't do. So that's a very basic use of try catch. It's also used with the file I/O when the file input-output. And I want to do another thing, just for fun. Let's create an int and call it count. It will count the times the user entered 0. So we'll take count and go here. So the first thing we'll do is increment count by 1 every time catch is fired. Once we enter 0 here, it will go here and then directly go to the catch. And now let's do another custom error. If count is bigger or equals to 3 after 3 times, let's copy the SO stop writing 0. So after 3 times will let our smart user know that we want him to stop writing 0. So let's recap it again. We initialized count variable, we increment it every time catch is fired, and if it's bigger than 3, output more stuff. Let's run it. We enter 0, like a smart user. Then we enter 0 again. Then we enter 0 again, and we get stop writing 0. Let's write 0 again. And it tells us to stop writing, because it's bigger than 3, so it will always output it after count is 3, bigger than 3. Let's enter a number, let's say 6, program stops. And that's kind of it with the try catch, and this is a very simple program that demonstrates a practical use for try catch, like in a case where you don't want the user to enter 0 in a division operation. I write end while, so I know where the while loop ends just by looking at the closing curly brackets. I can also put end catch here. It's a good practice when you have long code, or even this short code. And that's basically it. It's not a very complicated syntax. You write try, you put the code you would like to try. If this code returns an error, it will go into the catch with the exception and will run something else. Most of the time a message telling the user what went wrong. And that's it for this lesson.